Well, sticks and stones, they might break my bones, and the enemy, it won't leave me alone. I'ma live my life happy and free. Sticks and stones, they may break my bones, but they'll never break me. Come on, devil, get inside my head. You won't change me 'cause I'm way too blessed. Send your warriors to do their best. You can't kill me 'cause I'm already dead. I said you can't kill me 'cause I'm already dead. Welcome back to Total Freedom Radio, the show that's all about raising the bar of knowledge, healing hurting people, and spiritual warfare. If you're on YouTube, Rumble, or Brighteon.com, hit that like, share, and subscribe button and share this program with others. Maybe leave a comment. Jump over to www.renalynn.com and check out my new book series, Prepare for the End. Just click on a title and it'll take you straight to Amazon.com where you can get a paper book or an ebook. Leave a great review so that others will know you liked it. If you don't, drop me an email at askrinalynn@yahoo.com and let me know why. Book 6 just went to the copyright office and will be published very soon. Book 7 is almost ready to send, but I need to stop and design a cover for it, so that one will be a while. Drop me an email too if you've got a story to tell or a great job you'd like to share with me. I'll send you a form to fill out for what I need. All characters in the books need jobs, and I love to get it right, and that's hard to do without inside knowledge. Now, I have a great show for you today. I've got a doctor. She is a dentist, a medical doctor, as well as an oral surgeon. She has 2 doctorates and makes a 7-figure income. There is this concept today that narcissistic abuse only happens to very poor women, uneducated, and come from an extremely poor family, and they don't know any better. I want to blow that out of the water today and understand that it happens to anybody. Let me introduce you to Dr. Ganne. Dr. Ganne,
Good morning.
welcome to the Total Freedom Program. I'm so excited to have you with us today. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Rena?
I am good. Why don't you tell my audience a little bit about why you're here and what your goal is to tell your story?
I wanted all the women who may be in my shoes or are in my shoes to know they're not alone in this whole process. Narcissistic abuse comes in different forms and multiple manners, and it's despite all the social statuses and education of any individuals, and it happens in multiple different ages and women experience it in all sorts of background. It's not isolated in any state, religion, or many women and men sometimes go through this. However, if we can increase awareness and let women know they're not alone in the process, they're always protected and guided by higher angels, if you want to call it as such, and they're strong enough and they can make it through. And as long as they have continue to have the healing, hopefully their experiences and the hurt can hopefully help someone else heal and overcome the challenges that they may have in their lives.
Yes. Dr. Ganne, do you think that it's possible that you were targeted because you were a high income earner and the position that would give someone that was attached to you a better position? What do you think the reasoning was behind it?
I think it is definitely a possibility. When you're in those shoes, you never want to believe that your marriage was a target. When you have a family and when you have values, when you feel it is real, every single person's dream is to have that love and the family orientation that comes with it. It's not, at least in my aspect, finances was never it. It was always about family and structure and belief, to have children and happiness. I think that's really all what we seek. And you never wish you are the victim of anything of this nature. And you don't really feel like you're part of it until you truly experience it and look at it from the other side. In fact, I didn't, even though I went to medical school, narcissism is not really a word that comes out in many of the circles. At least it didn't, a few years ago, not in my circles, until my TikTok video started talking about it and showing me, all the components of what is a narcissist. And then my counselor started mentioning. So that's when it really came into my awareness. Because when you are truly in a what we call a love and marriage, you're blinded by many different components. You don't really want to see what you don't wish to see. So it
Well,
changes
and
perspective.
narcissists generally set up that the beginning relationship with love bombing. They become
Absolutely.
everything that you want them to be, and you think that you have found your absolute dream. The
Absolutely.
devaluing and the truth of who they are don't show later. So, what would you tell women that are in those initial stages of dating? What are some red flags for you?
I may not be the right person to answer that question. The reason I
Okay.
say it is I never really dated. Um, you know, it's dating wasn't really part of our culture or concept. We used to have more of the concept of arranged marriages. So I wasn't the right person to judge. I tend to see everyone as good. I don't want to see the evil side of anyone. I hope to see the best side of everyone. So when I wasn't, and I was used to being around a lot of men. I mean, I trained with, it's oral surgery is a male dominated field. And I'm used to working with all of them, and you deal with many different personalities, especially as patients as they came. So I didn't really know how to evaluate the husband material, quote unquote. And based on how I grew up, once you're married, you just stay married, and even if it means to a rock or a stone for the rest of your life. So I may not be the right person to ask what are the red flags to see. The only advice I have for women is truly fall in love with themselves first.
Yes,
You can have
thank
God
you.
above you, and then really learn to reflect your own value and gain the confidence, because men always tend to fall in love with the person women loves most. And I happen to
Yes.
love my husband more than I loved myself at that
Well,
time. So and that's why he loved himself as a reflection through my eyes. So if I can teach anything to women, is they should learn to see the beauty in their own eyes as well as spirit, and hopefully gain confidence in themselves and know their own worth. And because their children, especially if they have daughters, will learn how their mothers are treating themselves and learn that behavior and mimic that behavior down the road.
I agree with that, and it's my understanding from years of study, years of experience, that the exact type of woman that you just described is exactly what they look for. We're compliant, we love, we see the best in people, and generally we've been taught that everything's our fault anyway. So we take it upon ourselves, and we can't see
Right.
the truth of who they are because it's not what we're looking for, right?
Right. We are creating our own picture in our mind as to and justifying the behavior as it's changing, to say it's okay, it's part of the natural tendency and growth. Perhaps they're undergoing something. After everything my husband had put me through, I assumed you may have had a brain tumor that caused a personality change, or a true midlife crisis of some sort. So I always had rationing, but that was a way I protected myself, and probably, quote unquote, the mistake of marrying someone like that. So I was really guarding my own ego as a result of justifying why I may have done certain actions.
I think that's a part of it, and I think also we fight today's battle, and it's not until we're out of it and we look back and see it as a whole that we really and truly see the enormity of it. Dr. Ganne, give me just a moment and let me recognize my sponsors, and we'll get back to the interview. I want to talk about Simply Clean Foods. Their primary focus is to bring clean foods to people around our world and change the way we look at freeze dried foods. They're a community based company and they strive to help veterans through food donations, and they provide food to victims of disasters. They provide the best quality foods you can buy next to fresh from a farmer's market, and they are unique in the storage foods market because they have an absolute zero GMO policy. They have stringent quality controls and testing for heavy metals. And the second thing I want to talk to you about is Rena, thatinsurancechick.com. Excuse me, that's Rena dash thatinsurancechick.com. That's my company. And I want to talk to you today about the millionaire baby policy. Let's talk about children's coverage for just a moment. I'm a broker with numerous companies, and I can do anything from a simple whole life policies to something that'll grow college funds. And if they keep it, you'll want to advise them to keep it for their retirement because it can fund all of it or a chunk of it. By contributing a small amount each month into this tax-free college savings plan, life insurance plan, you can give your child the head start they need to obtain financial security later in life. And with your child's plan being indexed to Standard & Poor's 500 and growing tax-free with no market risk of loss, any contribution, whether $50 or $200, can have a dramatic effect, especially if you start when they're young. Let me give you a scenario. If you put $100 under a mattress each month, at age 18, you'll have about $21,600. But if you put $100 into the Smart Start program, projected cash at age 18 is $9,000 per year for college for 4 years. That's tax-free growth, so $36,000 in all. Age 31, your projected cash growth will be an additional $47,000. Now, folks, that's a lot more than mattress money. And if the child continues to contribute into the program, by age 65, the projected cash growth will be $1.6 million. That's because a life insurance policy, it grows cash tax-free. And there's also a death benefit, critical, chronic, terminal illness, and critical accident coverage as well, built right back into the policy. And if you don't want to go that big, you can do a simple whole life. It's very inexpensive and it covers your child to age 100. And I've had a lot of parents tell me, I'm not comfortable talking about life insurance for my child. I just can't conceive of the fact of losing them. And I understand that. I'm a mom too. So look at it in this vein. A male at age 70, excuse me, with no health issues, will pay about $193.09 for 25,000 in coverage for a final expense policy. Now, if he smokes or uses tobacco or he's not quite as healthy, it's going to go up to $274.97 for $25,000 of coverage. Now, that's today's cost, people. There's no telling what it's going to be when they're 70. So at age 5, it's $12.08 for that same $25,000 worth of coverage, and it never goes up. You can add more as he ages, and he can get 50,000 at age 5 for $23.17. You can't even take him to lunch for that anymore. So think about it in this terms. You get a life insurance policy for your child while they're small. You're giving them a lifetime gift that will save them thousands, and you're doing it while he's small. And if God forbid you need it before he's in old age, then you have enough to deal with, and you don't have to wonder where the funds are coming. So go to rena-thatinsurancechick.com, fill out a contact form, or send me an email at askrinalynn@yahoo.com, and I'll set up a time to call you and we'll get it in place. All right. Thank you, Dr. Ganne, for your graciousness in that. So I know that your reasoning for doing this interview is to move more toward the healing process. So could you tell the audience a little bit about what your healing process has been and what your goal is?
The way I heal is through prayer and meditation. But in reality, I had to take responsibility for every single thing that happened to me. If I placed the blame on anyone else besides myself, I felt hurt. I could never wish bad or ill for my ex husband or anyone else because the love of a person, if you truly love a person, I felt that it never changes. You will always end up loving that person. But what changes is the love and respect and dignity you have for yourself. So by taking the responsibility on to myself, that allowed me to heal and still keep my values. and keep my own dignity and grow from there.
And what I know that you have a young daughter, so what will you tell her as she goes through her teens and enters into young women? What will you tell her to protect herself?
So truly, when I conduct my life every day on an every day-to-day basis, and even my own thoughts, I always see how I would be visible in the eyes of my daughter as for when she's now 9 versus when she is 50, 60 years old, judging back. And I also want to see how my 8-year-old self versus 80-year-old self will look at me at this present moment. And if I would be proud as a 8-year-old self versus an 80-year-old self, then I know I'm in the right place. My advice for my daughter is to concentrate on her education because nothing can ever take that away, and to believe in herself, and know that she is protected, but truly learn to love herself first. That was a very hard lesson for me to learn, how to place myself first. And in reality, have I placed myself first? I'm not sure yet, because that's a very difficult thing to do for any mother, if you understand what I mean.
I
Children
do.
always seem to be above. However, when I emphasize it to her, I do tell her that for mommy, mommy's always first, because only when you can take care of yourself, you can actually take care of everyone else. So, by at least projecting that idea, I want her to always put her interests first, and by placing her own interests first, and without causing any harm to anyone else, she's protecting herself more than I did myself.
I
So,
understand that. How do you I know that you're a woman who is a nurturer and you take care of people, even as a doctor that comes through. So how do you get that balance of I need to take care of the people in my life and I want to put myself first? So there's got to be a
so
way that you can have it all.
yes, absolutely. I'm very fortunate. I've worked extremely hard for the first part of my career for the last 8, 9 years. I would spend 12 hours, growing my practice and working from 6, 7:30 in the morning to all the way to 6 at night, and being on call pretty much all the time. However, since I've expanded my practice, I have other associates, and I was able to cut down. COVID actually helped me do that. COVID emphasized the need for me to be home and be with my daughter. We love gardening. We love cooking together. So we found common interests and our relationship has blossomed as a result. It's and it really prioritized what composes me of my happiness in a way. And I'm in a state where I can work less. I leave work around 3:30 and pick up my daughter, and she feels that I'm a stay-at-home mom. Besides the fact I'm on the phones or texting, and arranging some administrative aspects of things. I'm with her, and we come home and we do gardening, or we go around the garden, eat the fruits of the trees, and go and cook something and help her do her homework and just take care of the dog and have a normal house life that we have always dreamt of. So I'm very fortunate that I have finally been able to find that balance because I no longer have to take care of another grown person. So it's
Yes.
just, myself and the daughter and the dog. So it makes it easier from that sense.
I like that. And I met Dr. Ganne. I was working for a tax specialist and actually did her bookkeeping for a while. And so, Dr. Ganne, if you're comfortable, would you tell the audience kind of what this cost you financially and in your professional reputation?
You know, a wholesome family is what we all seek. It's Someone asked me when I visited India and my husband's friend's home, the father asked me, how do you keep a balanced life? I said, there's really no balance. You have to sometimes feel you have to sacrifice certain things. Because I missed out on raising my daughter for the first few years of her life. Uh, do I have any regrets? Yes and no. Now she sees me as a thriving businesswoman and a surgeon. So it gives her a different level of confidence, as she says, her mom being extremely capable. So, and financially, this divorce has cost me more than seven figures, But at the same time, I don't ever evaluate anything financially. I have gained from it is independence, freedom, and confidence that I wish everyone would attain. The power I feel was taken away from me before that. I didn't have control now over 90% of my finances before. My ex-husband would take care of 90 plus percent, and he would give me 10% of my paycheck every month and said, here, pay your student loans, or, do the personal credit card for our family, or something of that nature. So I didn't really have control over anything. And he would always attribute control to respect for the man. So I gave in to that old traditional aspect. Now, whatever I may have spent on this divorce, it's, I'm still in the younger 40s, so I have that much time to make up. So I see it as an educational process. I have spent close to $1 million getting my education in the American system with my two doctorates. So having an education of gaining self-confidence, how to feel that you are in charge and control of, of your destiny is priceless. So, the cost of financially, yes, it was stressful, very stressful at times, but it changes you hopefully for the better. And it gave me enough confidence to even teach my daughter and to have her look at her mother as a powerhouse. That makes it all worth it in a whole different way.
I understand that. I know you mentioned to me earlier, I don't know if it was in their interview or offline, but about your culture was it was an arranged marriage. So, what would you say to women in your culture that they're in this cultural norm where they don't get to choose their husband, they don't get to do that, what you said, fall in love with him, and you're caught in this situation? What would you do earlier if you had realized
So
it?
I want to make a correction. My husband's and my marriage was not arranged, but we came
Oh, I'm
from the
sorry.
mindset of no, that's okay. But it's the first time I saw his photo, I knew I was going to marry him. Because we're not used to the concept of this long dating and that sort of a aspect. But it's if you look at old European countries and their traditions, they had a lot of marriages, arranged marriages actually in old country. What really makes it work is the standard ethic. Many of them were at that point very religious, and everything was built around a social system, of their small towns, and everything was very much ingrained, and they would go to their churches on Sundays. So everyone had a discipline to follow, everyone followed a similar path. So there was a social common stressor to stay together no matter what, in sickness or in health, and all of the vows would come in, and the constant discipline of the principles they were taught on Sunday school probably made sense in their in their life. Now it's the concept of discipline and religious ethics or any of that sort of nature is has dissipated amongst different cultures and religions, that when you don't no longer have the standards for yourself and family doesn't really come first, it and the higher purpose, our God, doesn't come first, then it changes the value of every individual. So, I think we should all realize there is a higher entity that we all depend on and guides us in every single process. And as long as you learn to see that the universe or God is extremely kind and, is very protective, and hope for the best of the greater good. If you don't see the world in this manner, then I think what happens is decline of families, decline of people and the personalities. So, it's I hope that answered your question.
That did, and this is a Christian platform, so we have a little bit different to religion and think about things differently on many levels. But on the family level, the marriage should last forever. Take care of your family. about the family platform, the family atmosphere, we see the same thing. But I know in my world, denomination was still very frowned on, even in today's world, and the impact, particularly for the woman, was pretty rough. So, what
Mm.
impact did divorce have on you as a doctor in your culture? And we have 2 minutes and 43 seconds left.
With all due frankness, my extended family doesn't still know that I'm divorced,
Oh,
except my immediate family. So I have pretty much closed off from a community sense, except I have used my mindset and strength to progress in my business and growth, and as well as I focused on my daughter, myself, and and the practice and my patients. So I directed my energy to where I felt it was needed and would serve me back in different ways. I didn't want to give credulence to anything that would put me down because I no longer needed to be put down by anyone else because I'm not being fed by anyone. You know, no one gives me money to go buy groceries every single day. I'm a working mother now, as a working single mom, so and my responsibilities are varied. And as a business owner, I have to make sure I protect my energy and self to be able to survive and take care of my employees. I have more than 20 women working for me, so I have to make sure that I stay strong so everyone in the practice stays strong as well. It
how many
maintains the
clinics do
same.
you have now?
I have three practices, three offices.
Three offices.
Yeah,
And do
and
you yeah, it's I know it's gotta be gratifying, the work that you do to help other people, when they
yes.
have needs for that, so I very much admire what you do, and I appreciate this interview, and now have you exhausted what you would like to say? Do we need to bring you back next week and talk some more?
It's really up to you. You know, at the end of the day, when a patient comes to me, they really don't come for oral surgery. Sometimes they need to hear a message. They really need to be inspired, or they're going through something extremely difficult. It could be cancer, it could be the death of a loved one. It's some sort of a trauma that's allowing them to be down. And if I can give them 5 minutes of my time to hopefully make them feel a little better so their vibration goes up, is, you know, really, I feel like that's my essence.
What a great story. Dr. Sarah, I just appreciate you so much. Dr. Ganne, excuse me, you coming on Total Freedom, and we'll talk when this program ends in 20 seconds, and we'll decide if you want to come back again. And I just appreciate your telling your story, and I admire the strength, the courage, and your message going out to other people and giving them the strength to move forward as well, because it's not always easy when you've been eroded like that. But we'll see you again on the flip side.